Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
And interracial dating is such a very sensitive topic, and we all know this, we all understand this, but it's sensitive for different people for different reasons.
Sure.
And before we get into your story, I'm going to just share with you just a little bit real fast about some things that I've experienced. So I know, for example, and again, I can't speak for an entire demographic of people. I'm going to let each individual person speak for themselves. But from my experiences, I know when it comes to interracial dating, if you're a so-called black man or you're a so-called African American man, and I know my experience better than anybody, right? And you go off to college, you're educated, and you read books, and you're focused and you're goal-oriented. And if you even dare step outside of your so-called race or what you so-called identify as, and you were to date preferably a white girl, you will be seen a certain way.
Oh, yes.
You will be seen a certain way, a sellout, a coon,
yes.
A product of self-hate, which in a lot of scenarios, it is a lot of times, self-hate does play a part in it, especially or in particular with my people.
Wait a minute. You feel like self-hate plays a part in an African-American man dating a white woman?
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Okay. And it can play a part, and I think you may have put it that way. It can play a part. The problem, I think, in my opinion, and of course, a lot of people who know me will probably say, well, of course, Demetrius will say this. I think that it's subjective. It's not always the case. Like, it's not an automatic thing. It can be subjective, but I know from experiences, so-called black women don't like it when the brothers date outside of the race. It's a really big thing, and I get it. I understand it. I'm not necessarily against I get the idea of why they believe this, which is a lot of times, not all the time, stereotypically speaking, it's already the stereotype, but it's not as we not, I want to say learned, because we probably already knew this prior to the Clinton School, but something we just recently went over, which is from the TED Talk we watched the other day.
Yes.
She said that the problem with stereotypes is that not that they are untrue, which is bad enough in its own right, but stereotypes are incomplete.
Yes. Sure.
So, not speaking for an entire group of people, I just want to make sure I keep repeating that. But I didn't grow up without a father. I grew up without a father. And I know a lot of people who grew up without fathers. But that falls into a ton of group of people, right? A lot of people don't grow up without their father. A lot of people grow up without their father in their life, or a father figure. And so we're raised by these women, and the idea behind it is, how dare you? Your entire life, you are raised, you watch this so-called black woman, which is your mother, figuratively speaking or metaphorically speaking, break her back to take care of you, go the extra mile to take care of you, be the mother and the father, again, figuratively speaking, in your life, because your father wasn't there. You didn't have a father figure. You watched your mother work 2 or 3 jobs and work extra hard. She's the reason you're here. She could have aborted you. You're the reason, she's the reason you're here. She could have given you up for adoption. No, she chose to take care of you. You're going to thank her by getting older and then going and dating someone or marrying someone that looks nothing like her. That's a slap in your mother's face. You're saying to her, I love you, but I don't want anything to do with you. Mm-hmm. It's almost that perspective. It's almost a mindset like that. So I hate it. Because it's like, I understand both sides, but what do you do? What do you say when you are attracted to all women as a man, regardless of where you're from? You're attracted to all women, and it just happened to be that so-called white girls fall into this category as well, because it's really the case with any demographic of people, but definitely so-called white girls, because of the relationship between whites and blacks, the relationship history. And the reason why it dates to self-hate is because it's like what I just explained. You don't want anything that looks like you. So here you go dating outside of your race because you're supposed to feel better. Here you go dating outside of your race because it's supposed to give you like some type of social boost. When again, that is the case. Actually, that's actually the case. It really is the case for a ton of people. It is related to self-hate with some people. The problem is, and it's very, 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 very hard to get your own people to understand this. It's not always the case. It's not always the case. Because that's the case if you're only dating that group of people and you won't step out. But what if you're versatile, if you will? Mm-hmm. What if you're open to any and everyone or any and every woman, regardless of what she looks like, because you're solely focused on the person? Well, you have those people who believe these or feel these certain ways stick to their guns. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. So do I hear you saying that when you're describing self-hate, you're talking about the person who chooses specifically, I am going to date white women for whatever reason. And I'm not going to step out. Like, I'm not going to date I'm not interested in dating an African-American woman. It's not about who I'm naturally attracted to, but more about, I want to stay within this race. You're saying that's what would be self-hate, but just an African-American male just being attracted to whoever he's attracted to. He's not limiting himself to one race. That's not self-hate.
Correct.
Okay.
The problem though is you have, and like anything else, you have people who make their own, not just their own assumptions. Essentially, you have people who make their own definitions. Yeah. So they're going to call self-hate not what you just broke down so eloquently. No, they're going to call self-hate simply, I don't care if it's your preference or not, Demetrius, or whoever the so-called black man is. I don't care if it's your preference. I don't care if you date I don't care if you do date black girls too, Hispanic girls too, Mexican girls too. I don't care if you do date a Filipino. It don't matter. The fact that you're also dating them and you're posting it on social media or you're talking about how much you love this person, the reason why it's self-hate, Demetrius, and you won't ever get it is because you don't even realize it.
That's just a terrible thing.
What do you say to somebody like that?